I'm Jersey. I'm just a recent university graduate, as well as a person with epilepsy. I'm a plant enthusiast, cat enthusiast, and just all over enjoyer of life. My diagnosis kind of came very fast. It was just after March break. I was 15 at the time. I was in grade 10. I just got home from March break and I was in bed and I had a grand mal seizure in my sleep, and my mom found me and we immediately called 911 and she took me to the hospital. That night I actually ended up in the ER twice because he gave me Ativan, said that it was probably just a one-time thing, and I immediately had a seizure right after that when I went back to bed. I had about 2 weeks of intense tests, MRIs, and just constant being in the hospital. They gave me my pediatric neurologist, and he just told me, you have a bit of a spot on your brain, and that's why you have epilepsy, and we're just gonna work with you and try to figure this out. Not a lot of people knew about it. It was something that I really just kept to myself because it was something that kind of just me and my family knew about and we were working through. I did have to take a lot of time off of school just in order to get better, because trying to get onto medications, just trying to figure out what kinds of seizures I had. But yeah, not a lot of people knew about it until about grade 11 when I actually started telling people, and I kind of came into my own, and I was very honest with everyone and was just like, I have epilepsy. If you want to know more about it, just have a conversation with me, because it's something that I'm not afraid of and it's a part of who I am now. My experience with epilepsy has kind of been a little difficult. I have drug-resistant epilepsy, so I still constantly have seizures on a day-to-day process. So I can't drive, and sometimes it affects me during my work. I also have to sleep a lot more than the average person because of the epilepsy that I have and because of the drugs that I'm on. So it just, it affects me to have less energy than the average person, but I'm still very thankful that I'm able to live a very full and very productive life, and quite normal from at least what I know. My main triggers are not getting enough sleep, as well as stress. Stress is a big factor. I try to minimize stress in my life as much as I can because I do know that it brings out more seizures in me. Sleep, it's just difficult because I have to get a lot more sleep than the average person, so that gives me less time in a day to do a lot of the things that I want to get done. And with stress, I just came out of getting my degree over at McMaster University in Hamilton. That was really stressful. Just having to manage everything going on in my life at that time, and just the stresses of school, and now being in the workforce, the stresses of work, and also just the stresses of life. It's difficult because sometimes you don't even know what's stressing you out, but it happens. I've faced quite a bit. My main challenge was recently school. I had a lot of professors who didn't really understand epilepsy whatsoever. So they wouldn't understand when I said, like, I have a surgery or I just had a really bad seizure. I remember one actually asked me to come back to school right after having a major surgery. But I'm so thankful that I was able to have the Student Accessibility Service team behind me, and they were able to help me through my degree in a decent amount of time that I wanted to complete my 4 years within. It was also driving, definitely was a huge challenge, because with drug-resistant epilepsy, I can't drive ever. Honestly, I'm glad that I got the diagnosis before I ever even had that taste of freedom, because I I know a lot of people who got diagnosed older and the main thing that they regret is not being able to drive. So I just make it work with public transportation and Ubers and everything involving that. And my family also helps me out, which is really nice. But yeah, it's also affected my ability to get work now, because certain jobs you have to drive for, and a lot of them are farther away. So as someone who kind of lives on the outskirts, I have to find work within a certain area to be able to get there and be able to be a dependable employee. It's made a world of the difference. I probably wouldn't be able to function if I wasn't on the medication that I was. So I have drug-resistant epilepsy. So that means that all of the medication that I'm on doesn't fully take care of all of my seizures. So I still constantly have seizures every single day. They are absent ones, but they're still around. And I was told when I was doing my surgery workup that I actually had 170 seizures in one day when they took me off of my pills. I've been on, I can't even tell you how many medications trying to figure this out, but they changed my life. They changed 170 seizures down to 5 or 6. And I cannot be more thankful for my surgery team, my neurologist team, and anyone who has been a part of my journey throughout epilepsy. And the major thing that made a world of a difference is my vagus nerve stimulator, which was the decision of my surgical team when I wasn't able to get the surgery to remove the part of the brain that was causing my epilepsy. They ended up deciding to implant this device, which just sits slightly above my clavicle and has a line that ties to the vagus nerve. And about every 5 minutes, it sends a 15-second pulse to the nerve to basically send a signal to the brain to say to stop having seizures. And I've had it for about 3 years now, and it's completely changed my life. I owe so much to my surgical team and for making this decision, because it's helped to reduce the seizures so much that I can live such a full life now. Epilepsy research is so incredibly important for us to research and to fund. So many people around the world have epilepsy. Seizures are so much more common than everyone even assumes. A lot of people have either absent seizures or other seizures which you just don't see, and it's just not as noticeable as other conditions. So even though that it is a hidden condition, we still need to be finding an answer for seizures and everything else involved with epilepsy, as there are so many people who are affected and need answers to what's going on. I wish more people understood that epilepsy is kind of on a spectrum. There's so many different kinds of seizures. So many people with epilepsy have completely different day-to-day lives. It's not all just the very dramatic seizures. A lot of us have absent seizures, which you wouldn't even notice on a daily basis. We still are diagnosed as epileptics, and people just don't get it, and I would love for people to understand that more. I'm currently on a drug titled cenobamate, which was actually a clinical trial from Brazil. My neurologist decided that this would be a good drug for me to try because I currently have drug-resistant seizures. As it's a clinical trial from Brazil, he had to go through many different ways to figure this out, and we had to try so many different, first we had to worked down one of my other medications because the 2 pills weren't interacting correctly, actually causing me to have more issues. And then working this clinical trial drug up. It's also been pretty exciting and pretty helpful for me. It's along with this actually happened after the VNS. So with those 2 interacting and with my other 2 medications that I'm on, it helped for everything to fall into place and for me to now live the most normal life I've ever had since my diagnosis. So, yeah. I want to live a full life. I want to be able to live on my own, do as much traveling as I want to, and have a job that I love, because it feels so difficult to find that right now because of all of the struggles that have been caused. I want to live as much as I can, even with my diagnosis, because epilepsy is not me. It's a part of me. It's just something that we need to learn to understand and not let it control us.